students' credit scores and decreasing debt. So this kind of shows that it's not necessarily the credit cards that are being evil and causing kids to destroy their financial futures, but it's that the students don't know how to use them. And these two studies, when you look at them together, kind of show how with financial planning training, students are able to manage their credit cards and be financially fit. There's just one other aspect of this lack of training that I want to discuss, and that's the stigma that college students are going to automatically overspend. When they have a credit card that, let's say the limit is $2,000, they're going to go out and spend $2,000 regardless of whether or not they can pay it. And that is true in a lot of cases, students do that, but there are studies that show that that's more based on social habits they've already developed, and that's like the feeling that they always need to say yes, they always need to participate. And those are habits that can easily be broken and thought through in financial planning classes, and those are things that they would teach. And in a class like the one I'm going to talk to you later, you learn how to properly think before you make purchases, whether or not it's a solid choice. So the other aspect that kind of leads into the point that students really need to take financial planning classes, especially if they're going to be using credit cards, is that students already have enormous amounts of debt. Coming out of college, in college, most people have student loans, auto loans, most students have some other form of debt. The study actually just numbers that show from 1989 to 2010, there's been a 319% increase in student loan borrowing. So, and everyone here is college students, and we all feel the pain of increasing tuition costs. And that's all debts that we're going to have to deal with in 4 years, and college students have to deal with. And it's the second largest source of consumer indebtedness. And so we kind of see that whether you have a credit card or not, students need to learn these financial planning skills. And right now, if students don't have credit cards, they will have to deal with it in 4 years. And they have to learn all these skills when they graduate college. If we give, students have credit cards and take financial planning seminars and learn how to use it throughout college, those skills are already solid and built into their daily lives by the time they're graduating. And so it's all part of this higher education is students should learn how to properly manage money. So a lot of people who say financial planning courses aren't going to correct students' misuse of credit cards, they cite a lot of these misconceptions about credit cards. And these misconceptions about credit cards are things that are taught in financial planning courses and taught in these seminars so that students learn how to avoid them and learn how to properly deal with them. So the first huge one is this APR, which is the annual percentage rate. It's the interest payment, so if any of you have credit cards, you know that on your statement you might have an interest payment. And it's usually like 20% or something. And people believe that that's completely unavoidable, and if you have credit cards, you're automatically paying 20% more than you have to. And that's completely false. And in the financial planning courses that you would take, they will tell you that if you pay your balance in full at the end of the month, you can you'll avoid the APRs. And that with the Card Act, which was passed a few years ago to basically protect consumers from these credit cards, they have to give you a month to pay your full balance before they charge you an APR. And so that's a huge misconception that frightens people from credit cards, and that these naysayers of credit cards for college students will cite. And any student who has taken a financial planning course will learn how to avoid those. The next misconception is that there are hidden fees associated with all credit cards. Again, I'm going to talk about the Card Act, which would be something that in a financial planning course you go into great detail and learn all of your rights and how these credit card companies operate. But there's really no such thing as a hidden fee anymore, because in the application and the contract that you sign when you get a credit card, they're required to disclose all the fees or interest rates, anything associated with the card that you might be having to pay for. And so in the financial courses, they're going to tell you about how you have to read everything before you sign it up, and they teach students to really be responsible when applying for credit cards, and it's not just a casual thing. And by developing that mindset in students before they go apply for credit cards, the students are just going to, when they're actually out in the world using the credit card, avoid those fees. The third one, which is the most severe, I think, is this notion that a lot of students have, and people think students are going to have, that credit cards are basically free money. That's not true at all. And when people sit down and think about it, they realize it. But if you have a credit limit of $2,000, that doesn't mean you have $2,000 to spend every month. And that's this scary idea that a lot of people have, and people think college students are just going to spend all their money. And without education, they might. But in any financial planning course, what they're going to do is they're going to tell you about how you should really only think of credit cards as a 2 to 3 week loan. basically, if you're gonna have the money by the end of the month, it's okay to use it with the credit card. If not, don't use the credit card. And that's an idea that I think a lot of people aren't gonna have before they take this financial planning course. But once they take the financial planning course and they have that ingrained in their mind, they'll think before they make large purchases and before they spend money they don't have. And in that sense, credit cards are healthy to use, and they're gonna help the students build credit as long as they're using them responsibly. So we have these three kind of categories. We have this current lack of education that students have. They just don't have the financial planning skills they need to have coming out of high school, and they're on their own, out doing their own thing, so it's easy for them to get into financial trouble. And then we have these other debts that students have, primarily student loans. So coming out of college and during college, they're already gonna have to deal with having credit and having to pay back credit. And so the skills they're gonna need either way, credit cards just help them to learn it throughout the course of 4 years, not after 4 years. And then we have these easily avoided misconceptions, which are taught in every financial planning course. And if students just had more education, they'd be able to avoid a lot of the downfalls and the evil things that people talk about with credit cards. And so that kind of leads us to this idea that if students just took a financial planning seminar, they'd be able to properly use credit cards, and it would help them a lot. And so I'm going to urge you all today to go on Monday, April 1st at 6 p.m. to a financial planning seminar that's held in Columbine here in room 712. It's 100% free, so there's no reason for you not to go. You're only giving us a few hours of your time, and by doing so, you're going to help yourself have a brighter financial future. It's important to remember that college students need to have a firm background in financial planning and financial life skills. By having a credit card and taking these financial planning seminars, they're going to be able to build a stronger financial future.